Oh my goodness, where'd the rear end go? Like I said, these cylinder heads are just like jewelry. So my brain wasn't smart enough to remember the exact order for torquing, and hello, welcome back to Windy Hollow Garage. We are in the middle of some winter upgrades. So if we're going to give an update on some of the things we're working on right now, a lot of stuff going on in the shop right now. So let's take a look. So a couple of the things we're working on out here over the winter is we have a new Dana 60, and this will be going in a mystery project along with one of these 727s, which we have two fresh 727s built for next year. Huh, bud? And it's always good to have a spare, but these have a little extra on them. You can see these have a fitting down there, and that's for the trans brake. So these are going to be for a project. Well, one of these is going in a new project for next year, and you have to stay tuned for more on that. Not ready to reveal that one yet, but big changes coming for 2024. Over here, the Belvedere is all snuggled in for the winter. Just changed oil in it yesterday. The oil looked immaculate, so happy with that. You can see big changes going on here. Oh my goodness, where'd the rear end go? So we have no more 8 3/4 in here. We actually have Dana 60 getting built right now for it. So when this comes back, hits the track next year, it should have a Dana 60. So more to come on that. And then over here, what I'm working on today is we have a fresh 440 from the machine shop. And so I degreed the cam in yesterday. You can see it degreed in at it was 104.5, 105. I'm going to call it 105. It's supposed to be 104. You know what? That's close enough for bracket racing for what we're going to do. But you see it going with a roller cam in this. I don't have a timing cover though, so I'm kind of stuck here. I got to set the end play for the cam, and I don't have a timing cover. I thought I had one. So I have not yet installed the rear freeze plug or rear cam plug. So we got to get that installed because that's what sets your end play front to back. This is a pretty serious motor here. It's got brand new Ross pistons. Those are my favorite pistons to run. And high compression. These are domes. These should be 12.5 or 13-1. Actually, I didn't calculate it out yet. I probably should do that. But I should be pretty solid compression. And this is a 440 block out of, I think it's a 1978 440 block. This was out of a motorhome or dump truck or something like that. I guess it's 1976. So it's a 1976 out of a dump truck, I believe. And that's also where that transmission came from too. So this transmission here is out of the dump truck, and you can tell because it has this little hole in it. So this is how they set timing in those trucks and motorhomes and things like that. The heavy duty ones came with a hole in there, and they set timing through the bell housing. Actually, this actually had a shorty shaft on it, and my magical transmission guy was able to go ahead and convert this to a long tail. And so a little bit of ADD today, but we just want to go through some quick shop updates. I know it's been a little while, so one of the more important parts of this engine, and right now this is going to be a spare engine. I haven't decided what we're going to put this in. This might go in our new project, but I haven't decided yet. But this is going to be a pretty serious piece. You can see this has what I'm going to call the best budget cylinder heads for a Big Block Mopar on the market. I mean, these heads are just remarkable. They are CNC ported ProMaxx heads. You can see these ports are they're just beautiful. They're all swirl finished in there. and they're just immaculate. They're like jewelry. They come set up with roller cam springs. I think they're good to 700 lift, and of course I just run my little baby cams here. This is actually a Howard's cam in this one. So it is I've never tried a Howard's cam before, but I'm going to try one for this one. And so this is it's pretty small, 600 lift, quite a bit of duration, 289, 299, intake center line, 104. When it installed, I think it was 104 and a half, maybe 105. So pretty happy with where it installed. 108 separation angle. And that's about it. Yeah, so I've never run a Howard cam before, so we got Howard cam and lifters. Here's the part numbers that we're going to be running. And hopefully they look exactly like my Herbert cam lifters, so I think they're all made at the Morel factory, honestly, but I don't know. All right, so yeah, we got Ross Pistons. You can see the part number on that. On the bottom end has, this is a factory 440 steel crank that I got in a salvage estate sale, I guess you could say. And then we put main studs in it, of course. You always want to do Big Block Mopar main studs. So we got ARP main studs in it. And we got Eagle rods. And we got the good, I think we bought the good rod bolts. I think I upgraded to the good rod bolts too. So nothing pretty fancy. This is the same combination guys have been running for 1,000 years here. Just Ross pistons, Ross rings. Comes with their own ring pack. And of course we had her all balanced out. You can see the holes here. I meant to ask what the balance weight was. I think he said it's stamped on the crank, but I don't. It should be pretty light because the Ross pistons are super light. Let's see. All right, so let me show you more about these cylinder heads. So I've still got one on the bench here. I'm in the process of putting the cylinder heads in and torquing them down. I haven't actually gotten to torquing them yet. I just, I'm not, my brain's not smart enough to remember. So my brain wasn't smart enough to remember the exact order for torquing, and I had to go inside and print off a little cheat sheet there for torquing these down. So here's the head bolts we're going to use. You can see there just ARP, good quality head bolts. Says to torque them to 70 foot-pounds. We may go crazy and go to 80, just to be sure. And then the head gaskets we're running, we're going to run the 1009 Fel-Pros. I've run these gaskets on a lot of cars over the years, and they are, as long as you get them clean and installed right, they're usually pretty reliable. So let's go back to the cylinder heads here. So these are really, like I said, these cylinder heads are just like jewelry. You can see they have really nice roller springs, good retainers. I've run a set of these exact heads, only not the CNC ported version, on my other engine that's in the 383, and it went 583 in that little 383. So 583 in the 8th mile in the Roadster, of course. One thing that you do have to be aware of is the push rod holes for these are very small. So sometimes, I probably should have mocked that up first. So it's not uncommon to end up having to grind and open up those push rod holes with these. All right, so I can't find the actual spec sheet for them. It must be in the house. But you can see, so these are 219, 181, 84 cc. I think it's supposed to flow 240 cc's. So I don't know, we'll see. But you can see they are fully CNC ported all the way around, and they are just like jewelry. So I'm hoping you can see the intake ports on them are like wide open. Let's compare the ProMaxx 240 CNC ported heads. Look at that in there. Man, they're just so pretty. These are factory 452 heads that would have been on a, I don't know, 383 or 440. And these, as you can see, I mean, look at the difference in the ports. All right, so I got a dial caliper here so we can check and see what the difference is on these ports compared to factory. These are 122 wide, 123 wide, and these are, oh goodness, 107 wide. Wow, that's a big difference. You can see the difference there. That's insane. So obviously, the bigger the port, it's going to flow more. And then let's measure it the other way. I don't remember if these are considered max wedge size heads or not. I don't think so. And for the intake, it's the other way, it's 235-ish. And on these, oh my gosh, they're like 215, 216. So you can see just so much more port in there for the intake. And then you can see these are closed chamber heads. It only goes halfway around. And then these are full chamber heads, because you can see it goes all the way, open chamber heads. You see they go all the way around. And these 452 heads were, I mean, these were the best thing back in the 80s and 90s. And they've come around to the exhaust port. I mean, you can just see the exhaust port difference here. But let's measure it just for fun. And let's see what we got here. These are 179, probably 180-ish. These are 159. So you can see just a huge difference in those. These are just night and day. Let's measure the deck, since I had to get different. Cylinder head bolts. Let's see, what's the deck on these? The deck on these is 096. Sorry, we're upside down, so 096, and the deck on these is, well, it's actually about the same. So it's actually bigger. 10. Huh, it's actually bigger. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not longer. Maybe they're actually shorter head bolts. So I've tried a lot of different heads over the years. I've tried the Stealths. I've tried factory ones. I've tried the Edelbrock Performer ones. I've tried the ProMaxx not ported ones. And honestly, the ProMaxx are just, they're the best, like, cleaned up machine. Like, the ports inside, the castings are just, they got to be about the nicest heads for the money. And you can use a 10% off coupon at Summit. And I don't know the exact price, but I know it's under $2,000. I think fully prepped, I think they were like right at $2,000. But when you consider the springs are already roller springs and all of that goodness, because I know when I did my Stealth heads, I didn't use any of their valve train stuff, so I had another $500 or $600 in valve springs and locks, retainers, and all that stuff, because a lot of the companies don't use super high quality locks, retainers, springs. They put, like, I don't know, kind of junky ones on there, and then you end up having to upgrade those if you're gonna race and run them hard. So with these, I think they're ready to use right out of the box. And then one more piece to the 440 puzzle will be, we've got an M1 intake here that we picked off my buddy Randy. So we traded him a set of rock arms, I think, for this. So this is just a regular 440 M1 intake and things like that. I ran the same intake in a low deck form on my original dart back in the day, and it was a very good combination. So I think this intake with a 1-inch spacer on a 440 should be a really good combination. We got our torque specs here, so we'll go through and torque the cylinder heads. So you're supposed to do 3 steps, ending up at 30. So I kind of already did the first step with just the 1/4-inch impact just to get them snug. So next time we'll go to, I guess, 50. All right, this is a fancy Snap-on wrench that I got from my dad back in the day. So, all right, so we'll go to 50, and then we start on the center bolt. And you'd think I've done this enough times to have it memorized, but I don't. All right, so we're going to do this about 75 more times, and then we'll have the heads worked on. All right, one more thing I want to test on these heads is let's see what they weigh before I stick them on there. What do you think they weigh, Bob? I'm going to say the steel one, cast iron one weighs 45, and the ProMaxx one I'm going to say weighs, I don't know, 20. I don't know. ProMaxx one weighs 28 pounds, so I was close. Okay. The cast iron one, oh my gosh, it weighs 51 pounds. So it weighs more than I thought. So that's interesting because you always hear how much lighter the aluminum ones are, and so they're exactly half. These do have heavier duty springs than maybe like the 440 source ones, but they weigh exactly half, 25 versus 51, so that's pretty neat, exactly half. So I'm going to go finish bolting these on the other side of my engine. All right, we got the passenger side all buttoned up there, so now we're ready to move on to the driver's side. I just checked the piston to head clearance. So you bolt the head on with no gasket to check piston to head clearance to make sure your piston's not going to crash into your head, which would be very bad. And basically, if you bolt the head on with no gasket, turn it over, and then you add your gasket ends up being your clearance at least, so you're good. And these gaskets are, so they're 45 thousandths, 46 thousandths sitting here, and then they compress down to 39 or 40. So looking for at least 40. So these gaskets are, I think they're a little thicker than advertised. I know they advertise as 39, but I think they normally come out at like 42. So I think we will be good. Well, the dowels here is a little bit, tight here. I think gasket fits tight. All right, there we go. Okay, so there's that. We got our gasket in place. I think you want it with the blue up, with the numbers and the blue up. I don't know if that really matters or not, but I always put them with the blue up. So let's go ahead and put the head on. So one thing I do different is I clean everything with brake cleaner. Then I come back and clean everything with rubbing alcohol to make sure the deck is, because brake cleaner kind of leaves a residue on things, but alcohol does not. So I come back through and wipe it all down with alcohol to make sure it's all super duper clean. And then I use a microfiber rag because you don't want any raglant or anything like that contaminating your gasket sealing surface there, because this is one of the most important parts of the engine. So all right, so we got our same thing on the cylinder head. I cleaned it all up with rubbing alcohol, and then the best way to do it is just try and line up the cylinder head bolts you can see, and then it should fall right on the dowels. And it did. Boom. Last thing you want to do is take your aluminum head, get it like way off, and be dragging it across those aluminum dowels or those steel dowels, because those are going to scratch your heads and not do any favors for your sealing. So you just line up this. You can see the head bolts right here. So when you bring it over, just kind of look in there and kind of line it up to those head bolts, and poof, easy as pie. Okay, so now we're going to go through and tighten up another 75 cylinder head bolts. So we'll be back. And as always, we're using lube on all of our bolts. So you lube the tips, and then you lube the washer as well. So I kind of like to lay all the washers out. That way you make sure you have all of them. Because more than once I've gotten almost to the end of this and been like, I'm missing a washer. And then you're kind of stuck. So make sure all the washers are here. Sometimes they'll give you one extra washer, but Not very often. And they did give me one extra washer. No. Yep. Oh, nope, they didn't. All right, so there we go. We used every washer, so that's how you know you've got washers in all the holes, because the last thing you want to do is forget one. Then go through and just put a little dab of lube. Everything in life. A little bit of lube. All right, so I'm going to keep putting lube on all these, and then we'll torque them all down. All right, we got the new 440 all mocked up. I got the valley pan, I got the valve covers, I got the distributor all stabbed in there to kind of just mock it up. I'm still going to take it back apart. So I want to paint the engine. Let me know in the comments, what color should I paint this engine? I'm leaning towards the old factory Mopar blue, 440 blue, but let me know what you think. This is probably the color I'm going to paint it, this old 440 blue. And let's see, so we got the heads are all torqued down, we got the valve covers on. Some of the holes, the outer holes on the valve covers don't line up, so I may have to clearance those a little bit. I got a distributor hold down I found in my box, got some valley pan hold downs, got the M1 intake, got an MSD distributor that I rebuilt, and so looks pretty good. Oh, so I've still got a lot to do here. I'm gonna clean the intake up, going to paint everything, and we still got to get the timing cover, which I did order, and it should be here anytime now. You can see this timing chain is like super tight. So this is a Cloy's billet timing chain. This is a Cloy's billet steel timing gear. You can see it's adjustable right there, but I've got it installed straight up, so the marks are just lined up with 0 and 0, and that ended up being 104.5, 105 degrees, which is close enough for what we're doing here. We got the fuel pump blocked off because we're not going to be using the fuel pump. We'll be going mechanic. We'll be going with the electric. So there we go. She's making progress, starting to look good, starting to look like an engine. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and close this video out here. Still got some work to do on the 440, so maybe we'll pick it up in the next video. I think I'm going to try and make shorter videos instead of like the long videos. So make shorter videos maybe more often is what we're going to try and do. We got a lot of projects this winter, so stay tuned. We got some big surprises. We're making big changes for 2024. This motor is definitely not going in the Roadster, I will tell you that. But I'm not sure what car it is going to go in, or if we're going to keep it as a spare. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for sticking with us. I know we took a little bit of a hiatus, but everything is just fine. We just got busy with some life stuff. So now we're back. We got some spare time in the winter that we can start filming and hopefully get back onto it. Thank you so much for staying with us. We really appreciate each and every person that watches these videos, and hopefully you enjoy. So we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.